because I think Vijay had told me that it will be, what is it? Wellness concept. Stress management, okay, stress management. Now time management is also there. Management, because management must come, no? All the because the management department, right, Preeti? Manage, management comes from manus. This part of the body is called manus. So people used to control the horse. That's why the management comes from there. Of course, today management means money. That's a different thing. Well, managing anything is easy, whether it's time, whether it is health, whatever you have, other than economics. All the other things are very easy. My friend from China is an economist because they do all kinds of research. Well, let's now think of wellness vis-a-vis illness. We don't want to be ill, do you? You want to be well, right? Very simple, very simple. What's the difference between the two? Okay, let me ask you a simpler question. How can you be happy? Happiness index. How many of you have read this wonderful book called In Search of Happiness? Any hands up? Viktor Frankl is a psychiatry professor in the United States of America, but he was in the concentration camp. Hitler had put him in the concentration camp. He was a Jew, a very bright psychiatrist in Germany, and he had the visa to go to the United States and a job also in the United States, but he preferred not to go because his father, his mother, and his pregnant wife were also in the concentration camp. So he said, I shall not go to United States of America. I will live here with these people and see whether we will all be relieved. So to cut the long story short, first his wife, pregnant wife died, so 2 deaths. Mother died, his father died, and one by one the concentration camp people started dying, but he did not die. He did not die. And then, eventually he says they lived on urine and others' meat, dead people's meat. And somehow he got released, Hitler died, and then he lands in the United States of America, becomes a professor of psychiatry, and writes this beautiful book. Please read that. Simple thing is, if you want to be happy, give somebody happiness. Christine, an American poet, has so beautifully said, if love is what you give away, love is what comes back each day. It's like a mirror. You give somebody happiness, you get happiness back. Good, 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 good. Sit down here. No, these chairs are vacant. Sit down. Sit down. Good girls. 3 by 2. No, there are 3 chairs. Okay. So if you want to be happy, you must give somebody happiness. How do you manage time? Does time move? Time doesn't move. The same time, my grandmother's time also is the same time. Events move. Quantum physics calls it happenings. Events move. We were in the other department a little while ago, and we spent some time there. Now we are in this department right ago. Do you know what is stress and what is distress? Everything in life is a stress. And without stress, you will wither away and die within 1 week. There's the African ritual called the voodoo. That is, if a thief or a murderer or a rapist is found, there is no Supreme Court there. There used to be no Supreme Court in the Aboriginal race. He was taken to the chief, and there will be an advocate who will say, this man did this, 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 this. If the chief feels it is right, he will take a bone, dead man's bone, and show it at the person like that. That is called voodoo, V-O-O-D-O-O. And we had done some work on the hearts of these people. Very interesting. After the voodoo, the man is not supposed to be talked to by anybody in the society, in that village. But he will get good food, and has got a nice outhouse outside the village, where even his wife and children are supposed to go and talk to him. Nobody talks to him, right? But he is fed very well. Actually, probably much more nutritious food than what he would have had in life in the house. None of these people last more than 1 week. They're dead. The belief, the superstitious belief was that showing the bone is the bad signal, and he died. But the fact is, these people's heart becomes very vulnerable for fibrillation. So we replicated that in pigs. What you used to do is, you put a pig in a cage and it's very hungry, give it nice appetizing food, and the pig comes running, and then as it comes running near the thing, it gets a sharp electric current there, very painful. So it goes back. Again hungry, comes in. Second time, third time, nth time, the pig gets so frustrated, pig says, I don't want food. It goes back to the cage, lies down. It is frustrated and depressed. At this stage, we can fibrillate and kill the pig with 1 joule current, 1 joule current. A normal pig requires 100 joules current. And 1 joule current you then generate by even lifting your hand like that, you generate 1 joule current. So these people die because of fibrillating heart. And these hearts, when you look at them, they're absolutely normal. It's called electric death. See how the things are? Where is this all from? What is stress? Stress is a part of life. Getting married is as stressful as getting divorced. I'm not joking. It's absolutely right. But divorce is distress. Marriage is eustress. The difference is, stress you can bend in a different way. If you bend under stress, it becomes, young lady, distress. Good, this girl is writing, very good girl. But if you enjoy that, marriage, you think, that was, of course, the definition was given by Samuel Johnson for second marriage. Triumph of hope over experience. So marriage is eustress, but divorce is distress. So now the Western youth neither want eustress nor want distress, so they cohabit and never get married. Because for them, for economic reasons, marriage is very expensive, divorce is more expensive. So why have that? After all, you want to cohabit, just live in relationships. And the government has now given legal sanction for the children born out of that also. That's nothing problem. And the inheritance, etc., there are some laws. I am not very sure. Our professor of economics will tell you about that later. Now what I'm saying is, don't you ever think that if I want a stress-free life, I should never have any stress. You will never grow. You must have stress. That's why if you don't work, if you say, I don't just want rest, I'm just not doing anything. If you don't do anything, you will be surprised. Within 24 hours, a lot of changes occur in your body which are detrimental to your health. Now, Vijay was asking me, are you tired? And I was seeing patients from morning 8:30. And then we came and some other department and there was something. But changing this, time management is very simple. Don't do the same thing for a long time. You get distressed. Supposing she had asked me to see 2 more patients, I would have run away. But she said, talk to the students. Oh, it's nice fun, I've been doing that for donkey's years. You probably don't know. I started teaching in 1962. And I've been teaching ever since and teach every day, even today, all over the world. I've taught thousands of students, but I enjoy that. When I meet all of you and see your faces, glisten, nice faces, I feel so happy. If I can make one of your mind get tickled, I tell you, the happiness I get is something phenomenal. Because what happens normally is, our educational system is so perverted, I tell you. Alexis Carrel so beautifully wrote, every newborn child is a genius, only to be converted into an idiot in school. I'm telling you the truth. Because every child, on the day it is made in the mother's womb, which is called a zygote, one cell. Human body is not like a motor mechanic, one heart with fixed and in the like Ford company's thing, and then you become a body. No, you are one cell. That one cell divides, and today you are a colony of 120 trillion human beings. How do we be happy? Keep all these 120 trillion fellows happy. If you did that, the 120 trillion people in your colony will interact with the 120 trillion people in his colony or his colony. Now they love one another. You must see that. There's a biophoton camera now. If you take a picture, you see how these cells are so happy jumping about. They are in sync with one another. Disease means some part of the body, they are not happy. It's all energy. And my energy flows into you, my leptococcus jump into you, your leptococcus jump into me, and we love each other. We are all related. We are all related. Let me tell you, you are all very close relatives of mine. Because all our consciousness comes from the same universal consciousness. And the individual consciousness is what comes to the zygote on the day you are made in your mother's womb. And that brings you all the wisdom in this world, posteriori and priori. So education is not teaching something somebody doesn't know. That's what we think. You know, there's an old saying, when we were young, we would say, a good teacher teaches. A better teacher demonstrates. A still better teacher explains. But the greatest teacher inspires. So what is education? Educe, E-D-U-C-E, in Latin means deliver. So I always call all teachers as midwives. What does the midwife do? Stands by the side of the pregnant mother in pain, coaxing her, cajoling her, empathizing with her, sympathizing with her. But who delivers at the end? Who? The mother. But in the class, who delivers? The teacher. That is the problem. You have to stand by the side of a student in pain, in suffering, in difficulties, coaxing him or her, cajoling him or her, empathizing with her, sympathizing with her, provoking her, prachodayat. And then the student will deliver. That is called education, deliver. That is why Swami Vivekananda read many years ago said, education is the manifestation of the perfection which is already in man. There's a beautiful way of saying that in Sanskrit. Dagdam, dagdam, punarapi, punaha, kanchanam, kantavarnam. You want gold to be shining? You have to heat it and beat it. Heat it and beat it again. Heat it and beat it. Gold becomes kantavarnam. So beautiful. So shiny. So that is exactly what is education. But unfortunately, what happens in the Indian education system is a brilliant child which knows everything in this universe when it is born. And you must see, I have written an article the other day. I was seeing some child in a bus, in the airport bus. Many of you must have this experience. You get into the airport bus, then the bus waits for the VIP. VIP, very insignificant people, they come last. Oh, you didn't know that? Atterilia, kadavale. It is simple law. These people come last, do you know why? They want to be important. Nan yaar. So they come last and everybody watches them. And anyway, this VIP was delaying it. And there I was, what this kid, little kid. So excited it was. Daddy, look at that. It was 4-year-old kid. Look at that big plane, Daddy. Are we going in that? There was a big plane parked next in the bay. Then the father was so feeling awkward. The whole bus is making so much noise and jumping about the place. Bus had some place. Then Daddy said, hey, keep quiet. And they had another kid to look after, and that was 2-year-old kid, so it had to be fed. So they were concentrating on that kid. This fellow will again jump. See, Daddy, that other big plane is moving. It's moving like a bus. Are we going in that? I don't want to go in that. I want to go in the plane which is flying. Just see the curiosity. Then little later, it's such an imprint on my brain. A little later, that little bombardier of the spice jet was coming out. Hey, that baby of the plane, I want to go in that baby, Daddy. I want to go in that baby. You see that? Now the child starts going to school, then child will stop doing all this. Then if you ask the child, no, I have to mug up, I have to homework. 2 plus 2 is 4. Is 2 plus 2 is 4? You do that. And the child is completely become an idiot after that. That is what Alexis Carrel so beautifully wrote. Alexis Carrel is not an idiot. Alexis Carrel is a Nobel laureate. He is a surgeon, and he is the one who taught all of surgeons how to stitch vessels. Because olden days we used to stitch vessels and it would collapse. He made a triangular mathematical model and a different kind of stitches so that the vessel remains over. This fellow gets a Nobel Prize. He wrote a book called Man the Unknown. But don't read that book. Because he's a Jew. At the end, last 2 chapters are horrible. He says all mental patients are a economic drain on the society. So put them in gas chamber. Don't have mental hospitals. He was right in one way. Mind is not in the brain, but psychiatrists give chemicals to the brain. So these chemicals make the patient eventually Alzheimer's, demented. Because you can't reach the mind with the drug. And the professor of psychiatry in Washington University who wrote a book on this lost her job. Because she was against the industry. Finished. Her name is Elizabeth Grace Jackson. Please read that book. Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind by doctors. Thick book. Lost her job, but the book is getting her millions of dollars. She's going around the world selling that and lecturing. Oh, you want to write down? Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind. Grace Elizabeth Jackson. Get that book. It's about $16, not much. Anyway, coming back to stress and distress. Where is it all situated? Mind. Where do you manage your time? Mind. Where do you manage your health? Mind. All diseases, from common cold to cancer, originate in the mind and die in the mind. Where is the mind? In every cell of the human body, these 120 trillion cells. And every cell has a mind, and depending on which part of the mind you are worried about, that you get a disease there. Did you get that? So what you should do to be healthy is simple, very, very simple. Two things. I told you, stand, don't sit. So what is health? Enthusiasm to work, enthusiasm to work. And what is health? Enthusiasm to be compassionate. Enthusiasm to be compassionate. Paropakarartha vidam sharinam. Have you heard that? It's not just a moral preaching of the Sanatana Dharma, it is science. Now evolutionary biology, I'm not talking of the Western dead biology, I'm talking evolutionary biology, has classified the human system as a closed system where everything happens inside. We're not the open system like the Western biology where for everything you need a doctor to, if you get a cold, somebody has to, it's like, all, I mean, you being engineers, you all know the systems thing. Open system is like a bucket, you want hot water, you put a heater in that. When you don't want it, take it out. That's open system. But closed system is a geyser, you switch it on, it is there. Even you want hot water, it's not there because hot water becomes, there is a thermostat. So the human body has come here with the inbuilt thermostat, which is called your immune system. And this is the one that keeps you healthy or unhealthy, doctors notwithstanding. Did you get the point? 5 places in the world doctors went on strike. I'm talking of 25 years. Learn from history, wrote Cicero, the Roman thinker. If you do not, you will relive history. What happened? Saskatchewan in Canada 25 years ago, Los Angeles County 15 years ago, Bogota in Colombia 10 years ago, Dublin, St. John's Hospital, James Hospital in Dublin 10 years ago, and recently in Israel. There are no private doctors there. They're all government doctors. And the government did not want to give them higher pay, so they went on strike. What would you expect? Patients would have died, no? Doctors not working. Right? But what happened? In all these places, now audit shows, hardly anyone died. British Medical Journal wrote an editorial. Doctor strike in Israel was very good for health of the society. Do you know why? We overtreat, over-intervene, over-diagnose, maltreat, mistreat, undertreat or overtreat, but never manage the disease properly. You can't, because you don't know how the disease works. Unless you understand the human mind, you just can't understand how it works. So very easy. And diseases are not new. These diseases were there for donkey's years. Nothing is new. But we have created a new disease called, thanks to technology, called doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. You have nothing, You are going about very happy. Right, ma? See, this girl knows that. You are very happy. Then we goad you, cajole you, coax you to come for a checkup. Have you heard of checkup? And when you go for a checkup, you come out as a patient. An American professor of medicine, she was 52 years old, very brilliant girl. She was like Preeti. She is not 52, she is about 32. 22, huh? Preeti is 22. Now, this girl is a very interesting girl. She asked one of her bright students in the class, she was in Yale University, who is a patient, she asked. Do you know what the student said? A man or a woman who sees a doctor becomes a patient. She was shocked. She said, is this what we taught you? Then she was shocked. Then she said, okay, second answer at least will be sensible. She said, when does he become a man or a woman again? Do you know what the student said? Rarely ever, comma, if ever, full stop. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Do you know why? Statistical medicine we practice. We don't have hard scientific medicine. What do we do? What is the normal height of Indian males? How do we do that? We measure 1000 males and plot இங்க இது இல்லையா போர்டு இல்லையா பரவாயில்ல நான் சொன்னா உங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் தெரியுமே நீங்க you're all experts in statistics. I'm an idiot, I don't understand statistics. Now what happens? You get a Gaussian distribution, right? Now we are very wise, we have statistics. You know what statistics is? Science without sense. You don't know? You don't know? Write down. Science without sense. Science without sense is a book written by a professor of statistics in Washington University. His name is Stephen Milloy. Stephen-Milloy. Milloy. Got it right? It's published by Cato Institute in Washington. CATO in capital letters, Cato Institute in Washington. It just costs $7. It's a fascinating book. And this fellow tells you how statistics runs this world. Anyway, now come to what we have done. Mean plus 2 standard deviation. That is called average. Right? But in medicine, what we have done is, we have made it synonymous with normal. Now you see, there are people who 4.5 inches, they're also normal. 4 feet 6 inches normal. 6 feet 6 inches normal. Now when we put mean plus 2 standard deviation, it becomes 5.4 inches. Now what we did, instead of calling it as average, we called it as normal, which means applying disease statistics on the healthy population. So what happens? You have thousands of people on either side who are normal, but they become patients. This is called false positive. For one parameter of the body, there are 5 to 25% false positives. Today, if you went for a checkup, there is what's called the total body scanner, which measures 750 parameters at a given time. So even if you take it at 5%, 750 into 5 is how much? My mathematics is very bad. How much is that? Huh? 3,750. This girl must be right because she is in the IIT. Now what happens? What happens? 100 people go in for a checkup, 3,550 patients come out. Did you understand that? It is as simple as that. And that is what is causing all the problems for medicine and creating more problems, because we start treating everyone. American audit showed 95% of Americans, 95% of Americans are on at least one drug a day. One drug a day. And 1 in 20 people have 3 drugs a day. All because you have a new syndrome called doctor thinks you have a disease syndrome. And now we have created so much of anxiety in society, we have a new disease. Patient thinks she has a disease syndrome. If you take them off, it's about 40% of the patient load. So this girl resigned from her job, this professor of medicine, because she said, my God, I'm teaching wrong things in the class. So she sat the MCAT exam again and got a regular seat in the medical college, joined the same medical college where she was a professor, came out after 4 years and wrote a book, What We Don't Teach in the Medical School. I wanted to send her my book, What Doctors Don't Get to Study in Medical School, which I have written 20 years ago. And she wouldn't have had to go through the medical course again. This is what's happening. Now we misunderstand. Wellness is trying to understand the human being, trying to understand society, and trying to change your lifestyle if you want any disease to be avoided. Year was 1733. There was a brilliant professor of medicine in Vienna, which was a mecca of medicine those days. But this boy was not a son of the soil, not because he is from Chennai that he became Chennai IIT professor. He is from Volga Valley in Russia, but he was a brilliant boy. At 26, he was made professor of medicine. He wrote the first textbook in English. He wrote of diseases. Disease I have seen with vehement agitation of the mind and spastic constriction of the human organs. He was talking about hypertension, diabetes, and what have you. And do you know what the treatment he said? 1733, change of mode of living, tranquility of mind, drugs, rarely ever, comma, if ever, full stop. If I am to write a book in 2016, I would write the same thing. I will give you some examples. Your blood pressure has gone up. You go to the doctor. The minute the doctor touches you, see the doctor, go to the doctor's office itself, your blood pressure has gone up. Because that's called the reflex reaction. Because we were hunter-gatherers in the forest. So if you sleep like your air-conditioned concrete rooms now, the tiger will eat you. So any noise, you must wake up. So you get what's called the roving eye movement, the light sleep. And if anybody touches you, you get alert. So doctor touches you, your blood pressure goes up. Now what is this blood pressure? Have you ever thought about it? You were all in CET exam before coming to IIT, right? There the physics professor will say, linear flow in a tube cannot exert lateral pressure because if it does, it won't flow. Cosine 90 is 0, right? Agreed? Agreed? Student mugs it up, gets first rank in the CET, goes to the medical college and comes to the first MBBS class. Professor of physiology comes. Blood pressure is a lateral pressure exerted on the vessel wall by the flowing blood. He'll mugs it up. See? Why? Because our educational system is such that whatever the teacher says is gospel truth and you've got to follow it, otherwise you will fail in the exam, which is true. Last part is true. So what happens? You have become an idiot. You have never questioned what is his blood pressure. And what is the normal blood pressure? I don't know. I know average blood pressure, but I don't know the normal blood pressure. But there's a committee called JNC, Joint National Committee. All wise people sit there in America, and each one of them have now been found to get millions of dollars from the drug companies. That's a different story. They lowered it and lowered it and lowered it. When I was a student in the 1956-55 in Chennai, our blood pressure normal was 160 by 110. When I passed some things and became MD, and it became 140 by 90. So I wrote to the hypertension committee, how did you bring it down? They said, we have evidence. I said, where is the evidence? So I wrote an article, evidence-based medicine or evidence-burdened medicine. Anyway, after some years it became 120 by 80. And after some time it became 110 by 70. All evidence-based. Now suddenly the 8th JNC report says, no, all this is bad, we have killed millions of people, and the blood pressure must be 159 by 99, like the Bata shoes, not 2000. Because I had written a book in 1933 on hypertension where I said the normal blood pressure should not be below 160 systolic for an adult and 100 diastolic for an adult. So they can't replicate the same thing because they'll be copying mine. So there's 159. Then I wrote to the committee, there is no 9 in the box. It's either 8 or 0. Chalta hai. That is called the science of hypertension. But what is this hypertension? We have not seen that. God gave us a special apparatus in the body when we were hunter-gatherers in the forest, lest we should be eaten by the tigers or killed by the snakes. And you see a tiger, you should be able to run away. Those days to run away in the forest. What do you read to run away today? Glucosade, right? There's no glucosade in the forest. So God said, okay, I will provide you some sugar. So he gave packets of gunny bags of glycogen in the liver, kept ready. Whenever you want, it will become glucose. It's called neoglucogenesis. New glucose is born. Then he gave you something to tickle your heart so that the heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, and you're ready to run. In the forest, you see a tiger, and you want to run away from the tiger. Your blood pressure goes up, your sugar goes up, your cholesterol goes up, your steroids go up, everything goes up. Then you run away from the tiger for your life. All these things come down. Now we have transplanted ourselves into society today. Only 10,000 years. We have not changed, we have not mutated in 10,000. It takes 10 million years for us to mutate. We are still having the autonomic nervous system which God gave us in the forest. So we have in the city today, not those tigers, but human tigers. Your boss may be a tiger, your assistant may be a tiger, your husband may be a tiger, your wife may be a tiger, your son may be a tiger, Your assistant may be a tiger, your student may be a tiger. Now what happens? You see these tigers and same reaction occurs. Your blood pressure goes up, your sugar goes up, your steroid goes up, your cholesterol goes up. Now, you can't run away from this tiger. Supposing your boss is your tiger, you can't run away, you want the job. And if you don't run away, it remains permanently raised and becomes a disease. You come to the doctor, we have our calculations, I told you how blood pressure is calculated, and we have a chemical, we give that. And then we show in the box that blood pressure come down. But the changes have not gone. Our treatment does not do any good to you. All side effects come. But we tell you that on record your blood pressure is below normal. The same thing can be done by changing a lifestyle. Instead of seeing your boss as a tiger and hating him as a tiger, this is management. You make a friend of your boss. And when once you love your boss, I tell you, your blood pressure comes down, your sugar comes down, your cholesterol comes down. This is called change of mode of living. So, disease management is not through reductionist chemicals which damage the system whichever way you want. We have to change our mode of living. How do you do that? Compassion, enthusiasm to be compassionate. Why should you be compassionate? You may say, what is this fellow talking? Is it religion? No, I'm talking science, man. Do you know how we are born here? We have not been monkeys, as Darwin and Mendel and all said. We were monkeys and dogs and then, snake and then human beings. No. It is better to be a fish than a bird. Fish is very simple. Only one circulation. No lungs, no pulmonary hypertension, no disease of lungs, nothing. It's simply gill and it gets. Why do you want to be a bird with 2 lungs, pulmonary circulation? So much a complication, no? So not survival of the fittest. Why do you have to there? Now you were a snake, fine. No coronary artery at all for a snake. Snake sucks its blood from the cavity. So why did you develop a coronary artery as a man and then get bypass surgery, angioplasty and all? Could be a snake. We make you a snake. Do you know that? We do an operation called TMR, total myocardial revival. We make holes in the heart inside so that you suck your blood also like the snake from the. And it's very simple. Why did you become a man? What was the advantage? Nothing. So we have been not coming up this Darwinian thing. The evolution is environmental. And what had happened was, this universe which is there for about 4 billion years was inhabited by germs in the first 2 billion years. They were like us, hating each other, killing each other. And then they found out this won't work. So they started helping others. How did they do? First they did a big laboratory, better than the IIT Chennai laboratory. What's that? Green leaf. What did they do? Chlorophyll, took water vapor, sunlight and carbon dioxide and made chlorophyll, which is the base of every food. Even if you are eating only pork every day, it comes from it gets its energy from the. Then this girl says, no, I am eating only fish. What is it you're talking about? The large fish eats the smaller fish eats the smaller. That's what happens in society. The larger fish eats the smaller fish. The smallest fish eats plankton, which is a green leaf. So anyway, after that, do you know what they did? They had a disease, too much oxygen. They converted all the carbon dioxide into chlorophyll, too much oxygen. Then they realized too much oxygen is bad. They have taught us this. In the olden days, if you see it at cinema, somebody gets a heart attack, immediately on this thing in the cinema that have ambulance and all. We killed 15 million people by giving oxygen after a heart attack. We should not give oxygen. We don't give now, unless you have got real hypoxemia, we don't give oxygen because hyperoxygen is very bad for recovery. You have seen our sannyasis in Himalayas, they live 120 years because they have very little oxygen there. We have 100% oxygen in Chennai and we die very early. So what do? We have now devised a new test to reduce the blood supply to the heart for making the heart more protective and prevent another heart attack. When the heart attack comes, the patient should not die. It's called producing more blocks in the coronary arteries. It's an old ancient method in Ayurveda yoga and it's very simple. If you did that, you get intermittent hypoxemia to your heart. What you do is, you just stand like this and just take a breath, you see. Now I am breathing out, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. I am sitting in a chair, there is no chair, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. I breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. What did I do? I breathed in for 4 seconds and probably breathed out for 20 seconds. So 16 seconds of hypoxemia I have given to the heart. This will make the heart stronger. And one more thing this does concurrently. See our thinking of our ancient people? Something great. You have a large muscle which starts from the chest there at the back and covers all the abdominal organs like a plate, like this fruit plate. It covers everything. And then comes and attaches to your thigh here. It's called the iliopsoas muscle. And this is the only exercise that can exercise that muscle. You try this exercise. It looks very simple. Don't try it suddenly and do it. Try this. You will have no aches and pains anywhere because all other muscles get relaxed when once the iliopsoas gets relaxed. So it's all in managing time, managing the money, managing the world, and managing health by managing your mind, which is the biggest master. And it's very simple to manage the mind. Fill the mind with universal love, such that there is no opportunity for anything negative to come in. I jokingly tell my students, people are worried, oh, is there cholesterol in this? Is ghee good? This is bad? I said, don't worry, that stress itself, ghee bad, this is bad, will kill you. It is not what you eat that kills you, it is what eats you that kills you, your negative thoughts. So don't let your negative thoughts kill you by saying that, I don't like this professor from China. Then your cells get confused. My cells love his cells because we met in the other room, we are sitting close to each other. And my cells get confused. Hey, what's this fellow saying? After some time, what happens, supposing I really struggle to destroy him, I may not succeed, but I'll do that. My cells start hating, hey, this fellow is bad. He's hating everybody. So my cells start hating my own cells, which is called autoimmune disease, one of the dangerous diseases. We have no treatment at all. Variety is autoimmune disease. You analyze your mind and find out. Today one patient came, very sophisticated girl. RA, sir, doctor, RA. And she has got this much of file and so much of medicine. But no relief, doctor. Just give me some relief. I said, whom do you hate, young lady? Oh, no, I don't hate nobody. No. I don't hate anybody. I love everybody. And after some time, we were talking, and then it suddenly came to her sister, whom she hates so much, that the very mention of her sister, her hair was standing up. I said, what about your sister? Irko. I said, look, go home, analyze yourself, and find out how many people in this world you hate, how many people you want to destroy, how many are a little jealous of, we are jealous of everything. Supposing I go out now, let us say, the beautiful BMW car parked in your porch. Fascinating car. A little J, capital J. Now what I normally do is, if there is nobody there, I take some metal piece and one line. Your cells start hating you. I tell these people a very simple method of managing that. I see the beautiful Mercedes-Benz car or BMW car. I love that car. Then I go to the owner when he comes. Sir, what a beautiful car you got. Wonderful car. Congratulations, sir. It's a fascinating car. The man's ego gets puffed up. He says, would you like a ride in this car? Yes, sir. He opens the door. You sit inside the car and he takes you around. One round of IIT campus, 650 acres. And it takes a whole day, and then you come back. By then you praise him so much, then he says, would you like to drive this car and feel the... Yes, sir. Then you get to drive the car. What more do you want? So see how you can convert jealousy into love. Instead of scratching the car, you manage that by getting all the benefits of the car. So don't you think that is easier? Your blood pressure comes down to normal, your sugar is normal, you are normal, you don't have anything. So, my dear young men and women and of all ages, it was pleasure talking to you. I know what you will say when you go home. What was this fellow talking about? I had a friend of mine, a parish priest who goes from place to place lecturing. One day he was in Chennai, he was lecturing, it was Sunday, and he was staying in a hotel. And then those days there was no email. He's a parish priest but a Protestant one, so he had a wife at home, so he wanted to write to her, and he wrote a letter. and took the letter to post it. He didn't know where the post office in Adyar was. So I asked the kids, on Sunday, a lot of kids are playing on the roadside. Hey, children, can you show me? Come on, sir, it's a holiday for us. They were enjoying. Took to the hospital. He posted. Then he said, I'm a priest. I'm supposed to do good. These children have helped me, so I'll buy some chocolate. So he goes to the shop and puts his hand. The wallet is in the hotel. So he tells the children, don't worry. I have a lecture in the IIT auditorium today. The entry fees is 100 rupees per head. And Preeti is in charge. So I'll give a note to Preeti saying that these two kids must be allowed free. The children said, lecture. There are a lot of asses like BMID talking, but who will listen? So they said, sir, what are you talking about? Me, priest, talking about? I'm talking about God, heaven, way to heaven, how to be there. And children burst out laughing loudly. I said, why? Sir, we were doubting. A man who doesn't know the way to the post office, how does he know way to heaven? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we shall begin the question-answer session.
Oh my God, question session. Answer session if available. So, okay, go on. Shoot.
Okay, we've passed chits during your talk, so I have some of the questions.
Please.
Okay, first of all, they want to know if you would suggest Ayurveda or allopathy, because there is someone whose grandmother prefers herbs, whereas his mother prefers tablets.
Prefers what?
Tablets. Sir.
Tablets. Young lady, Ayurveda is also allopathy. Western medicine is also allopathy. They are not homeopathy. Allo is against, pati is disease. Anything you give against the disease is called. Ayurveda can all be made into a tablet. Why not? What's wrong? But there is a big difference. All Western medicine tablets are chemicals, reductionist chemicals. Whereas all Eastern medicines, Tibetan, Chinese or Indian, are holistic herbs. As a holistic herb, the body's intelligence accepts as mine. Reductionist chemical, the body says this is poison and I must throw it away, and it's thrown into the liver. So all the Western medicines that I give and you take are not going to help you at all, and it's only your faith in me that helps. Kai Rashin solluvaangala. So Ayurveda is that way safer in the sense adverse drug reactions, the biggest killer today, is not there so much. But unfortunately, when money gets into these things, everything gets spoiled. Today in the name of Ayurveda, because it's easier without much restrictions to sell it, all kinds of poisons are sold to the public. So don't believe any one of these things. And if you really want Ayurveda, and if you know Ayurveda, or you know somebody who genuinely practices Ayurveda, I tell you, it's a great science, a holism. Whereas the Western medical science is reductionism, doesn't apply to the holistic human body, and we are a square plug in a round hole. So you tell your friend's mother or grandmother, okay, take this tablet, don't tell her what the tablet is. And if you tell her this is a tablet which will cure, even sand particle or silver, just glucose tablet does as well as any other thing, because that's called the placebo effect.
Okay, sir. Sir, following up on the same question, why do you think Ayurvedic medicine is not given priority even in India?
That's a good question. I think that's $1 million question. Which student asked that? He's a brilliant boy. Or she.
Sir.
Who is that? Oh, good. Parent Tambi? What's your name?
What is your name?
Naresh. Where are you from? Andhra Pradesh. Naresh, I'll tell you something. All this run on economics. 1910, there were 240 medical colleges in America teaching everything under the sun. Western medicine, herbal medicine, Tibetan medicine, chiropractic, homeopathy, osteopathy, radiotherapy. You ask, they used to teach. And they were all flourishing. Then, the three big rich people in America wanted to control the world. Now, are you recording this? Shall I tell the names? I don't want to tell their names. If you are recording it, I won't tell their names. Anyway, three people. Okay, 3 human beings. Record பண்றாங்களா? அப்ப வேண்டாம். 3 human beings. They came together, the richest people in America. They came together and said, look, we are doing very well individually. We are competing with one another. So we can control this world if we club together. So they made a consortium. And then they hired 10 brilliant American brains, all economists, and said, tell us how to control the world. This was in 1910. So they told, these people took $50 million, enjoyed life, and said, help war. You know, the First World War starting in Europe, and Europeans didn't have money. So these people pumped money into the war. And they said, you pump war, win the war, you dominate the world. But unfortunately, what happened by 1918, 4 years, this audit showed 15 million white young men died. If Africans had died or Indians had died, nothing would have happened. But white men died. And what happened? You have a new word in English language, spinster. That means girls didn't have husbands. So they started spinning. And children didn't have fathers. So they were worried. White man dying, they'll be worried. So they called another group of economists and said, no, this didn't work. Tell us how to control the world. Do you know the second group said, control world's education and you will control the world. That is where they wanted to control education. And one of the methods of controlling education was medical education. So 47 of these 240 medical colleges were funded by these people, these 3 people. And these were the only medical colleges using their own oil-based chemical drugs. The first drug is Nujol. Nujol in Latin means new oil. This was a byproduct of naphtha conversion into petrol. And what did they do? They didn't want to waste this Nujol. So they called a group called scientists, quote unquote. You know what scientists is? Science is what scientist does. Did you know that? No, you didn't know that. No, then very bad. Science is what scientists do. So they told them, scientifically find out whether we can use this Nujol for treating diseases. So they said, fine. They got the money. So they caught hold of a few rats, injected adrenaline. Rats became mad, running helter-skelter here and there. They took the same rat, injected Nujol into it. Rat became a zombie. Oh, like that. They said, this is a very good drug for mad people. So that was the first drug introduced to control madness, quote unquote madness. Don't call it madness. And that is called largactil. Have you heard of that? It's called chlorpromazine. All of you must have known, if you don't get sleep, one chlorpromazine, largactil, compost, this, that, blah, 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 blah. From there to SSIs now, we've got hundreds of chemical molecules, all of them. And then they told the President of America, because they elected him. Who elects the President? Money bags. What controls the world? Money, man. That's why this man is very important. You know. So what happened? They told the President, look, we don't want the other colleges to run. The President said, okay, I will appoint one-man commission to study these colleges to see whether they are all scientific or not. And whom did they appoint? Abraham Flexner. Who was Abraham Flexner? A headmaster in Andrew Carnegie High School. The one-man commission called the Flexner Commission in 1910 went round the United States of America in 6 months and said, these 47 colleges are only scientific. They are doing evidence-based medicine. The rest of them are unscientific. Unlike in India, the government did not ban those colleges because there will be what is called Dharan and all. And the other, what the government did, every morning in New York Times, front page, they advertise this. 47 good, rest of them bad. And students are very intelligent. After the first year, none of them applied for the other colleges. The other colleges died a natural death. Did you now know the origin of scientific medicine? Based on the Flexner report. Go back, go to the internet and see Flexner report, Abraham Flexner's report, 1910. You will know exactly this. A school headmaster trying to find out whether science is medical college or medical college science. Anyway, those 47 have now grown into about 200 odd. So it became overnight science. So it's not science at all. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So Ayurveda is a good science because it's holistic science and it has science. Our thing is we use linear mathematics in a non-linear system. You understand that? Linear science, you all know, linear systems you can apply Euclidean mathematics. But non-linear system you get Mandelbrot's mathematics or non-linear mathematics. We don't know anything. Now for example, heart, you go to a doctor like me, a fool like me, what I will say, your ejection fraction is 40%. What does it mean? I am applying a linear thing, the portion of the blood pumped out by each contraction as right. Now what is happening? Heart is not a Euclidean structure at all. It is not a square, it's not a round, it's not a triangle. So how can you do that? So we have a square plug in a round hole. You see this? This is our science. So we don't have a science. I should be saying that in IIT. But I'm saying this is what's happening. And we do research on the same science. Reductionist chemicals in holistic system. And the holistic system which is controlled by the mind, you don't know where the mind is, never mind.
Sir, can you suggest a good book which is helpful?
I'm sleeping. Okay, go on. 6 o'clock my brain shuts up.
I'm so sorry, sir. Can you suggest a good book which is helpful for maintaining good health? I'm not talking about physical health alone, but also mental health and as well as good nutrition.
Very good book, very good. Oh, not one book, hundreds of books. I'll start with selfish things. I have written 2 books. One is called You Can Be Healthy. This is published by Macmillan's. The other one is called How to Maintain Good Health. It's published by UBS PD in Delhi. But there is another book called Last Well Person. What's the book's name? Last Well Person. That means if you go to a doctor, you are an ill person. The last well person, the screening method makes everybody a patient. This is written by an American professor, you would like. This is a very good book. Right. Nortin Hadler, Hadler, Hadler. And Hadler is a professor in the Yale University and he has written a beautiful book. You want to have one more book?
No, sir.
Death by Prescription. Book's name is? Write down. Death by Prescription. Oh, you wanted only one book. This is a good book, man. Roy Sanders. A fascinating book. Death by Prescription. Okay, she is happy with one book.
So can you give us your opinion on abortion vis-a-vis the case of Savita Halappana?
Crime. What they did, they killed Savita. Abortion for medical reasons is not illegal. Ireland has changed its law now. And they have changed in law saying that for medical reasons, but they refused to do abortion for Savita and they killed that young girl. Of course, abortion is bad because if you want to kill everybody's child, then abortion is bad. You know, feticide, have you heard of feticide? No? You simply do scanning and say if the female child, chalo, take it out. But now you see here there's a big crowd of women, so the feticide doesn't work here. Go on.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Ah, done? Good girl.
I now request Professor Vijay to felicitate the speaker with a memento.
Arey, I thought this fruit is a memento. Ippa saapidalama? Hey, I have it once already there. Where do I keep so many of them? Anyway, thank you very much.